around the world.
Lily and Jeff come home from school worried. Their teacher has asked them to do research about their family, and they don't know where to start.
Look, Dad, this map talks about our family. We can find out where our grandparents were born and learn about our other relatives. This is sweet.
Kids, pack your bags. Thanks to this old map and to my latest invention, the World Whirler, we are going to follow in the footsteps of our ancestors around the world. And you'll see how much fun doing your homework can be.
Fasten your seatbelts. We're going to Paris, the city of light. I've always wanted to go to Paris, the place where Grandpa Pierre was born and worked. Is it true that he restored paintings in the Louvre Museum?
Yes, Lily. Grandpa Pierre also met your Grandma Maria at that museum. He fell in love with her at first sight and proposed to her in the Notre Dame Cathedral.
Notre Dame is a Catholic cathedral in the center of Paris. Many major historical events took place here, and it is the setting of the famous novel, The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Now I get it, Dad. Grandma came to Paris to work and to see the Eiffel Tower, and she ended up starting a family here.
The Eiffel Tower is an iron structure built by the famous French engineer Alexander Gustave Eiffel for the World's Fair in 1889 in Paris. It is located on the banks of the River Seine in Paris and is the city's tallest monument.
That's right, Jeff. In Spain, there weren't many jobs, and many people had to leave for other countries. Kids, let's take a picture to remember Paris, and then we'll continue our journey to Murcia, the land of your grandma.
All aboard the train. We're going to Murcia, the land of Grandma Maria.
Murcia is so pretty, Dad. Grandma told us that you can see all of Spain from the tower of the cathedral.
The Cathedral of Murcia, also known as St. Mary's Cathedral, is the biggest church in the city. Construction on it finished in the 15th century. One of its most important features is the 305-foot-tall bell tower.
Yep, it's one of the tallest towers in the country. Look, kids, your grandma lived near that big theater before she moved to France.
The Romea Theater is located in Murcia's old city. It is the city's main theater and one of the most important in Spain. It was inaugurated by Queen Isabella II in 1862.
Dad, Grandma Maria worked on a farm when she was young, right? One time in class, the teacher told us that the Murcian countryside is so rich that they send fruits and vegetables all over Europe.
Lily, Jeff, and their dad will always carry a piece of Murcia in their hearts. And as a souvenir before they continue investigating their origins and travel to Mexico where their aunt lives, they take a picture together.
Turn off your mobile phones. We're going to beautiful Mexico.
The family is staying in the main square. Their Aunt Rosa tells them that she came to this country because she loved the paintings of Frida Kahlo, and she ended up staying here to live.
The Plaza de la Constitución, also known as El Zócalo, is the main square in Mexico City. People come to the Zócalo to celebrate. The cathedral is also on the square.
You've grown so much, kids. Last time I saw you, you were like little beans.
I have to go back to my job at the Teotihuacan pyramids. Do you want to come with me? Teotihuacan means City of Gods. The city was founded around 200 AD. It has two pyramids. The The largest, the Pyramid of the Sun, is 216 feet tall, and the smallest, the Pyramid of the Moon, is 148 feet tall.
Awesome! You work in such a cool place.
Thanks, Rosa, but today we're going to visit a museum. Also, Jeff wants to take a boat ride on the lake and try some tasty tacos.
Discovering their family's roots is turning out to be a real adventure. They've met their aunt and they've learned a lot about other cultures.
Straight to New York, the city that never sleeps.
There's your cousin Martha. She is putting on a play in the middle of Central Park. Her mom told us that she was an actress here in New York.
Central Park is located in Manhattan, right in the middle of New York City. It is rectangular and is the most visited park in the United States. It has 2 lakes, several waterfalls, 2 ice skating rinks. It's huge! Hi, family. I'm Martha. I'm so happy to meet you. We've just finished the production. If you wait for me to change, I can take you to discover the city of skyscrapers. Sound good? Great! I want to visit the Empire State Building. From the top, there's got to be an amazing view. It's one of the most famous skyscrapers in the world, and it's even in the movie King Kong. After getting to know their cousin, they take a picture with her in front of the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty is one of the most famous landmarks in New York. The statue represents liberty. It was a gift from the French to the Americans in 1886 as a symbol of friendship between the 2 countries. The statue was built in France and shipped to New York.
We're weighing anchor for Sydney, the biggest and most populous city in Australia.
Lily, Jeff, and their dad travel to Australia. Their mom, who used to be a ballerina, performed at the Sydney Opera House several times, and the kids want to see it.
The Sydney Opera House is one of the most famous buildings of the 20th century. It was inaugurated by Queen Elizabeth II in 1973. It hosts plays, ballet, opera, and concerts. The Opera House contains 5 theaters, restaurants, practice rooms, stores. It is very big.
This theater is beautiful, and from here you can see the whole harbor. They say the roof is shaped like seashells, but it reminds me of a hedgehog.
I have an idea. What if we run across the harbor bridge barefoot like Mom used to do? Come on, who's up for it?
The harbor bridge crosses the harbor and connects the business and residential sides, where people work and people live. It took more than 8 years to build. What looked like a boring school project turned out to be a great adventure. It's been amazing to discover what their ancestors were like. The family has traveled a lot, following in the footsteps of their ancestors. Now that they know how important it is to understand where they come from, Lily and Jeff are surely going to make a beautiful family tree. Welcome to a trip through time. Are you ready to travel to the past? Emily and Jay were bored. Their dad was a famous scientist. He worked in his lab. He never let them in. But one day, the children ignored him and snuck in. There was a strange machine with 1,000,000 buttons on it in the room. They were surprised when they saw it.
Wow!
Their dad had told them about a new invention, a machine they could use to travel back in time. Emily and Jay walked into the time machine without thinking. Jay accidentally hit a lever and the machine started to talk.
Hello, children. I'm Time Zor. Why did you turn me on? Now you must travel with me through time. Fasten your seatbelts. We're traveling to a prehistoric town from many, many years ago. Welcome. My name is Brimar. I'm this tribe's chief. Sit near the fire and tell me who you are. Careful, don't burn yourselves. People discovered fire around 790,000 years ago. Thanks to this discovery, they could protect themselves from wild animals, cook their food, and make weapons and tools. These paintings from ancient times of animals and lions have been found on rocks and caves. They are some of the oldest artwork known to man. One of the oldest and most important is in Spain, in the cave of Altamira.
Look, Jay, they're hunting mammoths over there. They'll eat its meat, make clothes from its skin, make paintbrushes, and make tools. The mammoth is a mammal similar to an elephant that went extinct around 11,000 years ago. They lived in herds and ate grass and shrubs. The biggest ones could grow to 17 feet high and 30 feet long. In the Paleolithic period, people needed to create tools to hunt and cook. They built them from wood, stone, and animal bones. Knives, arrows, and axes are some examples of tools.
Wow! And look over there! A man fishing with a spear! Hey! And that woman is picking berries! Speaking of food, I'm hungry. Brimar, is there a burger place anywhere around here?
Fasten your seatbelts. We're traveling to Egypt more than 2,000 years ago, the age of the great pharaohs.
Hey, Emily, what's that woman doing on that throne? And why are those men carrying it? That must be pretty boring work, huh?
That's Cleopatra, the pharaoh of Egypt. The Egyptians worked hard to build their pyramids. Excuse me, Cleopatra? Why do you have such a big house just for you?
Hey!
Dear child, what you're calling a house is actually a pyramid, a temple where they bury pharaohs. When a pharaoh dies, he is embalmed and placed here forever.
I don't want to be a pharaoh then. I want to be a farmer or a merchant and travel on the Nile.
Cleopatra was the last queen of ancient Egypt. She was a beautiful and intelligent woman. She spoke 7 languages. She inspired many painters, sculptors, and writers.
When the wealthiest Egyptians, and the pharaoh and his family, died, their bodies were embalmed and prepared to conserve them as long as possible. They cleaned and perfumed the body, wrapped it in bandages, and placed it in a wooden coffin. The Nile is the longest river in Africa. It was very important in ancient Egypt. Because of the river, people could grow cereals and transport goods and people.
In ancient Egypt, each doctor treated a different disease. They knew the parts of the body, made medicine, and even had instruments they used in operations. Fasten your seatbelts. We're traveling to the Italy of the Renaissance, a great time of discovery and art.
Fantastic! I always wanted to meet the artist Michelangelo and ask him if he painted the Sistine Chapel himself or if someone helped him.
Hello, children. Do you like my work? I did it all myself, even though it took 4 years.
The Sistine Chapel is the most famous chapel in St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. Its ceiling is a series of fresco paintings by Michelangelo. He was an Italian Renaissance architect, sculptor, and painter, considered one of the greatest artists of all time. His most famous sculpture is David, and his most famous painting, the ones in the Sistine Chapel.
Is that the famous painter and inventor Leonardo da Vinci? Leonardo, who is that woman in the painting?
That is La Gioconda, also known as La Mona Lisa. Isn't she beautiful?
La Gioconda, also known as the Mona Lisa, is a painting by Italian artist Leonardo da Vinci. It is considered the most famous painting in the world and is housed in the Louvre Museum. He was born in Vinci in 1452. He was a painter, sculptor, inventor, architect, musician, anatomist, chef, philosopher, which is why he's known as a Renaissance man. Some of his more famous works are La Gioconda and The Vitruvian Man. We're traveling to London at the height of the Industrial Revolution. Hang on tight.
This city is filled with smoke, and it's so noisy. Let's go ask those kids if there's a park nearby.
Hi, what's your name? You're not going to school today?
Hello, my name's George. My parents work at the factory, and I'm a scientist's helper. Look at this machine. It's called a telegraph. It's used to send messages. In 1837, Morse invented the telegraph in Boston. This invention allowed people many miles apart to communicate using a code. Its use extended to the United Kingdom.
George, can you show us around the city? We can go on a carriage or on a train. I want to visit London, the Thames River, and Big Ben.
For rich people, the main means of transportation at this time in London were horse-drawn carriages. Everyone else walked. When cars were invented, carriages practically disappeared from cities.
The first steam engines appeared during the Industrial Revolution. They made it easier to transport people and goods. They were used on land to transport people and things with trains and on water with steamships.
Look, that's Charles Berry, Big Ben's architect. Big Ben is a very, very tall tower. I want to study and be like him when I grow up.
Big Ben is the name most people know for the Great Bell Clock Tower at the English Parliament in London. It was designed by Charles Barry and finished in 1858. The clock is famous for its precision. We're traveling to California. We're going to meet Steve Jobs and his friend Steve Wozniak, the creators of the first personal computer. Fasten your seatbelts. Hi, kids. Welcome to our offices. We just created the first personal computer, the Apple I. He founded Apple in 1976 with his friend Steve Wozniak. Thanks to the success of the Apple II computer, he became very famous and widely respected.
The Apple I was the first personal computer created by the Apple Company in 1976, designed by Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs. A few years later, they invented Apple II, the first computer in the world to sell successfully.
That heap of junk and cables. My dad has a computer at home with that Apple drawing, but yours is really old. Are you sure it works?
Of course, it's an amazing machine. Till now, nobody could have a computer at home.
His inventions and machines were fundamental to the evolution of personal computers. He founded Apple with Steve Jobs and created the Apple I and Apple II computers.
Mr. Wozniak, it doesn't look to me like it will work, but if you say so. I do know that in the future you guys are going to be very famous. Right, little brother?
An instant camera is a kind of camera that takes a picture and prints it off the camera.
Dad, we're so sorry we disobeyed you and went into your lab. We'll never do it again.
Emily, Jay, where were you? I was so worried. I thought you'd gotten lost. Come here and give me a hug. This story is coming to an end. Emily and Jay learned that you must always obey adults. And they discovered that with respect and teamwork, the world works better.
If you want to keep traveling around the world, click on the boxes to go to new cities. Oh yeah, don't forget to subscribe to Smile and Learn's channel to get the latest videos and keep having fun with us.